Hello, good evening and welcome to Prime Business. Coming up, cedi depreciates by about 12% this week as it hits 13 cedi 75 pesos to a dollar just after crossing the 13 cedi mark yesterday. We'll be engaging an associate professor of finance. And World Bank Group President expresses disappointment over Ghana's decision not to subscribe for a debt suspension initiative as the country struggles to deal with risk of debt distress.
It has not asked for the common framework under the G20 process. That process, there's some signs of movement on Zambia, but still challenging. So Nigeria and Ghana both did not ask for common framework treatment.
Plus, Ghana to export power to neighboring Burkina Faso soon, following the completion of the Kumasi-Bolgatanga transmission line.
In ensuring sustainable and reliable power delivery in Ashanti and other regions in the Middle Belt and the North. More importantly, it has enabled GRICO to export power to Burkina Faso.
My name is Beverly Broohm. More coming up shortly. Hello again. The woes of the Ghana cedi continued as it depreciated further to about 13 cedi 75 pesos to the US dollar, less than a day after reaching 13 cedis yesterday. This is equivalent to about 12% depreciation in only 4 days of this week. The local currency is also depreciating faster than the pound and euro. It is selling presently at about 14 cedis 5 pesos to the pound and 12 cedis 10 pesos to the euro. Checks by Joy Business at some top forex bureaus in the capital, Accra, indicates that there is an acute shortage of US dollars. Again, quite a number of the banks do not have enough dollars to undertake forex transfers and other related businesses. Now, the World Bank Group President David Malpass has indicated his disappointment over Ghana and Nigeria's decision not to sign up for the Debt Service Suspension Initiative. The program put together by the IMF and World Bank offers countries an opportunity to freeze debt serving while they concentrate on using the fund to deal with other commitments. The World Bank president was responding to questions at a program in Washington, D.C. over calls that enough is not being done to cancel the debts of some African countries.
With regard to subsidies, to the extent that governments can have them be smaller, meaning not if you're putting a cap on gasoline prices, don't make it a nominal cap in the local currency terms, but allow it to be reduced over time. So what the challenge for Nigeria is the subsidies are so large that they undermine the revenues coming to the government from the state-owned oil company, and Nigeria is actually in a concerning situation because the increase in the oil prices that occurred earlier this year actually ended up hurting the finances of Nigeria because of that large subsidy that's provided. With regard to the debt restructuring, so the World Bank works very closely with the IMF on debt situations. Nigeria has not asked for the common framework under the G20 process. That process has been slow acting in Chad and Ethiopia and Zambia. There's some signs of movement on Zambia, but still challenging. So Nigeria and Ghana both did not ask for common framework treatment. Kristalina and I were talking yesterday with the group about it. Part of if countries could have a situation where the common framework caused or allowed the country to have a standstill on their debt, that would help the countries choose their path forward on debt restructuring. That would mean they would get a break on debt payments while they're working out a restructuring agreement with the world.
Now let's get on Zoom and speak to US-based Associate Professor of Finance with Andrews University, Dr. Williams Pepra. Thank you so much, sir, for your time here tonight. Now, the World Bank president is saying Ghana should have signed up for the Debt Service Suspension Initiative. What kind of signals are they giving Ghana, knowing that the window is closed for Ghana to apply for the initiative?
Good evening, and thank you for calling me. So, listening to the World Bank director, you could feel that if Ghana is prepared to make a case and probably ask Nigeria to join them, knowing the situation in which we find ourselves, they will be prepared to open up. Probably this will require more details or analysis from government to make that particular case. At the moment, we are only going to IMF asking for balance of payment support. In that case, they will be looking at asking us to do a debt restructuring. But if we want to go on debt suspension of repayment, it will require us to do more. In that case, the conditionalities will be more severe than only going for the IMF, which is what we are seeking for. I'm sure during that time, government did not go take that particular decision because they thought things will work as it should be. But we have known that the economic conditions have changed. Now have to have a case for himself. I have made a mentioning that if I were the finance minister by now, whilst I'm asking for a balance of payment, I'll also be asking them for not debt suspension, but debt relief. Even though we don't qualify, they must show some commitment. Ghana find its sustainability. If we default in making payments, World Bank is going to lose about $3.3 billion because that is how much they have invested, facilities they have given to Ghana, which we have to pay. So a debt relief will be much preferred, and government will have to also focus on that.
But Dr. Pepper, what options are there for Ghana now? I mean, looking at the fact that Ghana needs an economic program now.
I mean, I'll be blunt and plain. You know, when IMF came to Ghana, the Ministry of Finance issued a communique about that discussion. There were some points which I think IMF realized that it will not work well. The program the minister said he was going to submit was the Ghana Care Obatampa program. If you really look at that program focuses on expanding, putting more money into the economy to expand certain sectors of the country and industries. And also that includes the Youth Start program. At the moment, government cannot continue with this lifestyle of expenditure. Things must change. In that document, in question 9, government said no, or they were going to continue with their normal programs and expenditure patterns. We know that where we are now, we cannot continue this lifestyle or expenditure pattern. So government may have to change its position on that. We are also expecting that I'm sure government listening to Professor Bobkin, he has been making that noise. The size of government must also be looked at and changed. That will give a signal to investors community that yes, we are prepared to make sacrifices, and by so doing, government is reducing its size. But if we don't see that signal, it's really going to affect the kind of program that we are going to give to IMF. The back and forth of this issue with Ghana and IMF now depends on how or what and where we are going to focus to cut our expenditure. Now, for revenue generation, we know that government cannot go there because we have seen the strike actions by the trade union associations in Ghana. And we have closed their shops. The two main reasons, one, because of the dollar, and two, is because of the high taxes. So government cannot increase taxes. So the best option is to slow down its expenditure in terms of capital expenditure and also the current expenditure. And that is why I support Professor Bobkin when he says that government must reduce the size to give a signal to the investment community.
Now, talk of the dollar. I mean, I was coming there. That was going to be my second point. You made a point that Ghana's only hope of stopping the free fall of the cedi against other major trading currencies is an announcement of an economic program by the IMF. Now, the local currency has hit 13 cedis to a dollar. What do you suggest could be the minimum term measures to take to a halt of the depreciation?
Okay. So what is currently happening is they are on two folds. One, in terms of money as a store of value, now there's no investment in Ghana that can help a Ghanaian to keep his money at the same rate, because the prime rate set by Bank of Ghana and comparing that one with the inflation rate, already Ghanaians should be losing. The best bet to Ghanaians is to chase foreign currencies. That's why now you have seen the dollar, the pound, the euro, all of them are going up and they are becoming scarce now. That is the only surety for Ghanaians. The signal Bank of Ghana needs to give is that I'm sure we have some funds there. They are trying to be careful not to bring all of them into the market, but they need to be releasing some above the $25 million they have been giving every month. Because last month, the issue was that during the auction, when they opened the auction, 125 million were the request, but the central bank was able to only honor 25 million. What this means is that that signal is giving that there is more demand for the dollar than the cedi. So the central bank will need to find a way to increase that 25 million to about 35 million, and also find a way to diversify the flow or the distribution of that amount. And that will bring in that confidence. I've mentioned that the IMF program is the only one that can save or help us to halt the cedi devaluation. Because once we get to the point that we have signed an agreement, it gives an assurance that some foreign currency will be coming into the country. Probably IMF may push immediately $1 billion into the country, which will bring some stability, and Ghana may be able to find its sustainability for now up to the next 6 months. By that time, the demand pressures will go down. But as we speak, every Ghanaian, instead of buying treasury bill or any other form of investment, everybody is going to buy dollars or euros or pounds to keep. So we really need the IMF program immediately to stop the fast, or I don't know how to put it, because yesterday it was it last week, it just went up by 1 cedi, and now we are today is Thursday
13.
and we are getting to the 14 cedi mark. So it is becoming an issue. So the central bank needs to act. There are other measures which are also not very comfortable. Sometimes it may really affect the whole economy. That is when central bank decides to say all the multinational companies in the country, especially the extractive sectors, if they can come in and give us some dollars to be able to control what is happening in the country. There are some freedoms we are giving to the extractive sectors. Anytime they sell their gold or bauxite out of the country, we allow them to keep 30% of that proceeds out of the country. Is it a time that we ask them, bring all the 100% into the country now? South Africa, that is what they do. Whatever amount of gold you sell outside, you bring all the dollars into the country, and then from there, if you want to pay your supply out of the country, they do that for you.
Doc,
you may have to look at that policy again.
We leave it here. Thank you so much for your time here on Prime Business. Now, away from that, Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Motley, is making a strong case for review of the global credit rating system. According to her, the current structure is not helping countries like Ghana, which has seen its credit ratings reduced to junk status, making it very risky for investment. She was speaking at the annual Babka DIA lecture series in Washington, D.C. in USA, put together by Afrexim Bank.
I know that when a number of us met in Barbados, in Bridgetown, at the end of July, we worried then that there were about 44 countries on the brink of a debt precipice. This week, I'm being told that it is roughly 56 countries. I ask you tonight, what will it be by the end of the year? And what will it be by the spring meetings of the World Bank and the IMF? If this is the annual meetings of these institutions, what do ministers of finance go home to their people and tell them? What do governors of the central bank go home to their people and tell them? I just reminded us. And this isn't the disparity today. This is the disparity 2-3 years ago. Even before persons sat in the metropole and determined that countries like Ghana should have their credit rating downgraded without perhaps ever seeing a graph.
Strategic Mobilization Limited, SML Ghana, a revenue assurance and audit firm, has disclosed that its activities have contributed to Ghana making about 1 billion cedis in the petroleum industry. SML Ghana, which has two main divisions, specialization in the audit of downstream petroleum products and trade transaction pricing and business process audits, say it is poised to improve revenue monitoring for state agencies like the Ghana Revenue Authority. Here's a report.
The managing director for SML Ghana, Christian Tetesoti, made the disclosure when the company hosted MBA students from Georgetown University, McDonald School of Business, Washington, D.C. The student visited the company to seek practical exposure on how Ghanaian businesses are leveraging technology to impact lives and transform the economy. The students, made up of different nationalities, are part of Georgetown's Emerging Markets Network. Speaking to the media, Mr. Tetesoti said SML will continue to help Ghana's economic development.
We've been monitoring, and since April 2020, what has been noticed is that the liftings that are reported had increased, and that has translated into increase in revenue. And for the 10 months at the time, there was an increase of revenue of about 1 billion Ghana cedis as compared to previous years. And since then, the revenue has been consistent at that level. So we believe that we have helped in creating more value in the petroleum sector.
The president of Georgetown's Emerging Markets Network and an NBA student, Esther Eduse, explained that the goal of the trek to Ghana is for students to explore diverse business models and industries in Ghana.
I brought 35 students with me to Ghana for a Ghana trek, and one of the things that we wanted to do as Emerging Markets Network was to bring emerging markets to the perspective of MBA students, because we believe it is the next frontier of opportunities and investments. And we chose Ghana specifically because of all the amazing things that Ghana is known for, but also to really showcase businesses and how technology-enabled businesses are really impacting their communities and also generating profits as well. So we really wanted to explore how businesses can be profitable and also impact communities.
Now, Ghana is well positioned to export power to neighboring Burkina Faso following the construction of what officials of the Ghana Grid Company, GRIDCO, described as a game-changing 330 kilovolts transmission line in Kumasi. The completion of the Kumasi-Bolgatanga transmission line will see the export of 200 kV of power to Burkina Faso. The Ashanti and other beneficiary regions are also assured of sustainable and reliable power supply. Ohimenteria has more.
555-kilometer 330 kV Kumasi-Bolgatanga transmission line was constructed in phases. This included the Kumasi-Kintampo, Kintampo-Tamale, and Tamale-Bolgatanga transmission lines executed by 5 contractors, including Elecno SC of Spain. Implemented by Ghana's GRIDCO and Burkinabe's Sonabel, the project was co-financed by the French government and the World Bank, who disbursed $175 million facility and $5 million grant respectively. The project, which forms part of GRIDCO's effort to reinforce the national interconnected transmission system, is under $180 million funding support from France and the World Bank. It means an increase in transmission capacity and contributes to reduction of transmission lines overloads. Board chairman of GRIDCO, Ambassador Cabral Blay Ameye, told a commissioning ceremony at Angomaso that GRIDCO has for the past 5 years been undertaking key electricity transmission projects. He spoke highly of the Kumasi-Bolgatanga transmission line as a game changer.
These projects, together with others in the energy sector, have made Ghana a feeder in the delivery of reliable energy in Africa. The project that we commissioned today in particular is a game changer and a key component in ensuring sustainable and reliable power delivery in Ashanti and other regions in the Middle Belt and the North. More importantly, it has enabled GRIDCO to export power to Burkina Faso.
A representative of France Embassy, Raphael Malala, is happy at the prospects of the project, saying this is by far his country's largest investment in Ghana.
This investment is the largest France has made in Ghana to date. It has been 10 years now since France, through our operator, Agence Française de Développement, French Development Agency, committed to enhancing and upgrading electricity transport within Ghana and from Ghana to Burkina Faso as well.
President Akufo-Addo commissioned the project as part of his 4-day tour of the Ashanti region. He says the project will earn Ghana some foreign exchange.
In the Ministry of Energy. I exported 200 kV of power to Burkina Faso.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Ohimenteria reporting.
That's all for Prime Business. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Beverly Broohm. Have a good evening.